saw a post floating around today. The original one that I saw was from Seth Walder, was the name. I wrote it down. So it was motion at the snap. So the rate of motion at the snap. The Cowboys are ranked 30th so far through 4 games. And I just wanted to comment on how crazy I think that is. Although we have been behind in some of these games, so you're not going to run your typical offense. You're not going to be able to have a plan at that point. It's pretty much just throw the ball and catch up. I still think it's crazy that we're 30th. We do have 2 wins, so 2 of those games weren't out of hand. And to be almost at the very back of the league in pre-stat motion when you have a struggling offense that can't run the ball. And aside from CeeDee Lamb and Ferguson, pretty much everybody else has a hard time getting open. So I just think that we need to, regardless of circumstances, we have to start putting in a lot more pre-snap motion and just motion in general. We need guys. We need, for example, in my opinion, Cooks. We're playing him, and I heard someone say this the other day on a podcast. I can't remember who. We're playing Brandon Cooks as if he's a 6'5", 220-pound wide receiver. Stop asking him to do things that aren't his strength. Put him in a position to use his speed and run across the field. Force a linebacker or a safety to have to run with him because they won't be able to. Even a second or third string corner is going to struggle with that. But get him out in space and have him run the width of the field, or at times I'm okay with some vertical routes as well. But have him do things like that. Have people set pick plays and things like that to get him behind it. But stop asking him to just line up on the outside and play like he is a 6'2", 6'3", 6'5" wide receiver, because he's not, and he never was. But he's been successful because he does have some ability in his game, but it isn't to do that. It isn't to line up and just deal with, an aggressive corner who's going to get his hands on him. It's to get him out in space and to let him use the speed that he possesses, because he still has a lot of it. So let's use him correctly and let's get some more of that motion going. Just in general, we need more pre-snap motion and we need more creativity out in the field. We are just so vanilla right now, and I get it. The offensive line, for the most part, is just not good enough. We are not protecting good enough. I think there's times where the running lane is there and we don't take advantage of it because our running backs have just not played that well. But pass protection has been subpar. But it isn't an excuse to not help your offense by doing some of these things. And I know McCarthy is a capable offensive coach. Everyone has differing opinions about whether or not they like him, whether they want him to be the coach of this team. But he isn't stupid, at least not all the time. He's had some very successful offenses. So I don't understand the conservative play. I think you just have to let it loose at some point. I know we don't have as many weapons as we'd like. My dream, regardless of money, if I was just talking about what we could do right now, the last thing I saw was the Raiders were asking for a 2nd-round pick for Devontae Adams. I know we won't trade for Adams. We're not going to give up a second, most likely, and we also wouldn't want to pay him the salary. But to add a weapon like that to this team, to add him in with Lamb and with Ferguson, it would change so much. You still have to protect, obviously. You still have to try to figure out the running game. But just to add another explosive element to the offense would be amazing. But it's just not something that this front office is willing to do. They still cry about giving up the 1st-round pick when we traded for Amari Cooper a little while back. They said it killed them. They said in the draft they were in agony not having that pick. So I don't ever really expect them to make big trades when it comes to giving up a lot of draft capital. But I think Adams, even at this point in his career, motivated Adams, getting the hell out of Vegas, I almost said Oakland, and having a real quarterback throw to him, whether you like Dak or not, he's a lot better than what they have. I think would come in and just add so much to the offense, and maybe having that extra element of speed and just overall ability would also help the running game, because you have another legit threat out there. Teams would have to, you don't have 2 number 1 corners generally, so you can't put them on Lamb and on Adams. So then, you have to spend so much time and attention on them, and then Ferguson is just going to kill you up the seam. So I really wish we would do things like that, but I know we're not that team. It'll be another team that already has more talent on their roster. We'll probably make that trade and add Adams. And we'll all just be a little ticked off about it. But I just initially wanted to make this post about the motion. Pre-snap motion. I think that needs to go double to what it is right now. And I would love to be able to see us, get closer to the top 10 in the league, because this offense needs creativity. It needs a lot of help. It doesn't have enough talent to just go out there and say, we are better than you. This is what we're going to do. And there's nothing you can do about it. You're not going to be able to stop it. We're not that team this year. We don't have that roster. Can't play bully ball. So we need to be creative, and we need to really lean on our offensive coordinator and assistant coaches and pretty much just an overall team effort, top to bottom. But I would love to see that happen. So fingers crossed. And if a miracle happens and we did trade for some talent, that'd be great. But not holding my breath.